Buongiorno a tutti, buongiorno, grazie per essere qui. Welcome to the Space and Blue Economy event, for the first time organized with a special focus on Saudi Arabia. I'm an economist from MIMIT, Ministry of Enterprise and Made in Italy. My name is Augusto Reggiani. I want to thank those who are present with us live, but also all those who are connected via streaming on social channel. I know that there are many of you connected now live. Please let me thank the Vice Minister, the political, military and civil authorities present here, and in a special way the Italian Embassy in Saudi Arabia and its ambassador, Carlo Baldocci, for the great support received. Let me now invite to join me on stage for the opening greetings, Colonel Andrea Amadori, Italian Defense Attaché.
Vice Minister, Admiral Natale, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. 60 years ago, on 15 December 1964, an all-Italian team with a big contribution from the Italian Air Force launched the satellite San Marco, making Italy the third nation in the world to bring a satellite in a space orbit. In general, we refer to that period as the first space phase, where only few nations ensure a presence in space. It was followed by a second phase during the Cold War, the so-called confrontation phase, culminating in 1969 Apollo mission to the moon, and by a third phase, the so-called cooperation phase, characterized by a lot of joint programs, like the International Space Station. And now, we are living in the so-called fourth phase, a time where we are witnessing a significant interest in space like never before. This interest is inevitably linked to space data, services, products, and capability, without which many of our daily essential functions would be impossible. Navigation, communication, Earth observations, only to mention few. Impeding or degrading these space-based services and capability would set our society back decades. The current space scenario is characterized by kind of ubiquity of space in daily lives. In that respect, this represents a transition from exploration to exploitation of space. Space is now more democratized, global and accessible, and open to public-private collaborations. Opportunity, therefore, but not only. The space environment appears both strategically and materially increasingly crowded and competitive. In this regard, it is essential to develop and maintain a garrison capability in order to ensure continuity and resilience for a series of services, also guaranteeing the protection of national space assets. Therefore, there are two essential and indispensable conditions for accessing and operating in space, which will become increasingly important in the future: safety and security. The current and increasingly accelerated process of democratization of the space domain is accompanied by reduction in cost, a greater role of private actors, and contain potential and opportunities that must certainly be intercepted. However, the so-called new space is full of risk and unknowns. We cannot think of operating effectively and safely in a space without a real capacity that allows us to know, appreciate, and understand the space environment. The aspects of defense and security are inextricably linked to the need to ensure adequate resilience of space infrastructure from natural events or intentional threats to orbiting assets. The space economy is deeply intertwined with the security and defense needs. Commercial capabilities are playing an increasingly significant role in contemporary conflicts, blurring the line between traditional military and commercial space activities. For instance, commercial satellite constellation enhance intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, providing high-resolution imagery and persistent monitoring. They also bolster communications and navigation, offering secure channels and augmenting existing systems like a GPS. Critically, commercial assets increase the resilience of critical infrastructure. If government-owned satellites are compromised, commercial alternatives can provide backup. They also allow for faster deployment of new technology and more cost-effective solution for military needs. The space economy continued growth depends on cooperative security. The increasing congestion of space, the proliferation of debris, and the potential for hostile action necessitating international collaboration. These include developing international norms of behavior, enhancing space situational awareness through information sharing, and promoting transparency to build trust and prevent escalation. Space is not just a destination for exploration. It's a launching pad for collective progress. A cooperative security framework is essential to ensure a future where space drives innovation, economic growth, and a sustainable future. This collaborative approach will unlock the space economy full potential, advancing fields like telecommunication, Earth observation, and future space endeavors, ultimately benefiting humanity. So I leave the floor to the panelists. Good luck. Enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Colonel. It's with great pleasure that now I invite the Vice Admiral Antonio Natale, Chief of the Education and Training Command Italian Navy, to speak on stage. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege and honor to be here today in this Italian village near the Amerigo Vespucci, the most beautiful ship in the world, located in Jeddah, a vibrant and historical rich city in the west coast of Saudi Arabia. I am Admiral Antonio Natale. I would like to extend my greetings to the Deputy Minister of Ministry of Enterprise of Made in Italy, Valentino Valentini. Thanks, sir. Of course, I bring the salute of the Italian Navy CNO. We have a very interesting meeting yesterday with the CNO from Saudi Royal Navy. It was very faithful. So, and as a commander of the training, I am happy to have received the assurance that 5 cadets will come next year in the Naval Academy. So it's a very good position for our cooperation. For the space, I want to say that the platform San Marco is still there. I was on board 5 years ago. There is a Broglio Center, that was the name, still in Kenya, even if now it runs by locals, but the Italian is a very good footprint. So it's very nice. I was involved in the space, that's why I was seeking there. I'm confident that will be a very interesting discussion, thanks to the highlight qualified speakers who will take the stage in a few minutes. This is a blue century, and the entire maritime cluster is focused not to miss the opportunity for growth. The sea has always influenced human activity. Beyond a doubt, we can see that it's clearly from the fact that 80% of the global population lives within 200 kilometers from the coast. Navy, as a part of maritime cluster, taking in account a big part of the maritime cluster is Luca Sisto, that is Confitarma, one of the biggest company here in Italy. So the Navy must play their roles by ensuring free navigation and safety, not only at sea, but even in the seabed. This includes security of critical infrastructure, like platform, underwater cables, pipelines, which are vital in the energy and information, both essentially for the daily life. The Italian Navy is actively operating in this field. With Amerigo Vespucci, our floating embassy, and through international operations such anti-piracy mission that we usually do in the Horn of Africa and the Gulf of Guinea, and the operation called Aspide in the south of the Red Sea for the UT activity, and even to participate an Italian frigate Marceglia is sailing to Expo 2025 in Osaka, and she will take place some activity exercise like Komodo in Indonesia, IMDEX in Singapore, and Lima is the Langkawi Maritime Air Show that is in Malaysia. Even we are sending a ship for the Maritime Symposium will be held in US, in Newport, Rhode Island. So the Italian Navy is making its mark. Of course, it continues to conduct the standard operation in the Mediterranean as well. Lastly, I want to highlight another threat that the Italian Navy is addressing, cybersecurity. We are working to enhance the safety of our ship to ensure they can operate at all times. This, of course, a very sensitive topic. The blue economy is a multiplier of investment with a factor of 2 of the rest of the economy, and it's account to 25% of the Italian gross domestic product. In summary, the sea is a vital element of our shared heritage and a key driver of economic and social progress. It serves as a bridge to connect nations, economies, and culture. The Italian Navy remains steadfast in its mission to safeguard maritime security, foster international collaboration, and promote the sustainability development of the blue economy. As we look for the future, let us embrace innovation, strength of our partnership, and rise the challenge to lie ahead to ensure the sea remains a source of opportunity and prosperity, and especially with the collaboration with other countries, and in this case, of course, with our friend from Saudi Royal Navy that I want to thank for the host here in Jeddah, and of course, even the Jeddah Yacht Marina that host here, and we are almost close the entrance of the port. Thank you one at a time, and good for your attention. I look forward to the fruitful discussion will follow. Thank you.
3, 2, 1, ignition, engine full power.
Wow, really, really, really immersive. So I asked the speakers of the first panel to take a seat here on the stage. We have with us Colonel Walter Villadei. Grazie per essere con noi. Yes. Doctoress Barbara Negri, Head of Human Flight and Scientific Tests, Italian Space Agency. Engineer Ahmed Al-Ghofaili, Sector Head of Exploration and Science. Thank you. Dr. Khalid Al-Shetri, General Manager of Space Sector Development, Communication, Space and Technology. Thank you so much. So, theme of this first panel is commercial space flight opportunities to foster the Made in Italy and strengthen the international relations with the Middle East. So, a big title, but impressive. If you feel comfortable, I will start with a round of questions. Colonel Villadei, should I start from you? I would like to ask you, what is the role and the interest of the Italian Ministry of Defense and of the Italian Air Force in this new commercial spaceflight dimension?
So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be for the second time in Amerigo Vespucci event. It's a beautiful ship and it's full of meanings. So it's a very nice opportunity to be here. It's a unique opportunity to share some thoughts in this country, since I was the backup pilot on Axiom 2 missions, which was the mission that saw the first 2 Saudi astronauts flying to the International Space Station. Some elements were mentioned during the introduction greetings. I think space is becoming, of course, not only a kind of a frontier, it's been over the time a place where countries used to compete and cooperate. And for the most, there were countries dealing and leading this expansion of the exploration. Now, the real turning point is that more and more privates are showing capabilities in terms of technologies and also operational capabilities to bring new things in space. As a military, as a defense, there are multiple angles that we can look at for really seeing how much the space is important for us. I would say mention of them. First of all, when we fly on a space mission, we need to learn a lot. From the preparation of a mission, integrating payloads, talking during the training, and then from the takeoff to the very re-entry, there's all sets of activities that really are a key point for making the armed forces and the defense more and more competent in this domain. So if we want to be relevant in the next years in space, surely we need to be there, and we need to be able to do experiments and to do activities in space. Secondly, of course, since space is really becoming more and more crowded in a real physical sense, and actually I was impressed looking at how many satellites you can really see with your bare eyes when you fly. So that means that safety and security are becoming more and more relevant and important. Either from the physical standpoint, so we need to have sensors, we need to have capabilities to provide protections to the infrastructures. And by the way, we are, as Italy, we already provided almost the 40% of the International Space Station. And then for the upcoming infrastructure, so we can contribute with other infrastructures that we need. That means we have to be able to protect our infrastructures. So it's very important to be able, and as armed forces, we, along with us as a partner, at national level, we build up a space situational awareness capability. And then I would say the last 2 points to me very important is, first of all, space is a unique environment for pushing forward development and research, even for the technology, standpoint. So as a defense Ministry of Defense, we might be really able to expand our presence in using this infrastructure for pushing the technology development. And lastly, space is an inspiring domain. So if we want to move our young generation of cadets and people even joining the armed forces, this possibility to bring them and to really show them that we can do something important in space, it's to me very much important.
Thank you so much. I hope you will stay also in the next panel with us. Thanks.
I won the lottery, yes, I'll be on the second one.
Perfect. Dottoressa Negri, welcome. In 2022, the 2 space agencies signed a memorandum of understanding, and I have many questions for you. I write all the questions because there are really, really many. How do you see the role of the Italian Space Agency and space agencies in general, and how do you see the future trend of space missions in low Earth orbits? And what are the main projects you are working on, and could they be related to a potential partnership with our friend of Saudi Arabia?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
It's the second time also for me with the event of Amerigo Vespucci. It is a pleasure to stay again here. From the point of view of the most important question, the future of the role of our country in low Earth orbit activities, I can say that there is a new scenario The orbiting of International Space Station that will start in 2030 from NASA opened a new kind of private activities. There are many projects in the United States to realize new space station, probably from different companies. Italy is very well prepared from the point of view, as Walter already said, to realize, to develop habitable module, logistic module, nodes, because we have a large experience and heritage due to the fact that we contributed at about 50% of the entire structure of the ISS. But we are also very well prepared in the utilization of these new commercial stations because are over 20 years that Italian Space Agency support research institutions, universities, in preparing experiments and pilot on board of the ISS. And there is a very good system, a synergic system in Italy that connect the scientific activities with the industrial company that produce new technology, innovative science. I believe that this new paradigm that we will face will find Italy prepared and ready to play a leadership role. For the other questions, we signed an agreement in 2022 with Saudi, a memorandum of understanding. At the time was the Saudi Space Commission. Now I think it's the Saudi Space Agency. And we have two working groups with the contact point that I hope will start very soon. Is another important opportunity to cooperate with our friend country in science development because one of the items requested by the Saudi Space Agency is exploration and science. And we are ready to prepare the future in these two important fields.
Thank you, Dott.ssa. And I hope in the future to have more women in this sector that could speak to us other than Barbara Negri.
Yes, in Italy, in my group, I have 25 people, colleagues of mine, and more than 50%, 16 are women.
Oh. So they are growing. Good.
Absolutely.
Dr. Al-Ghofaili, thank you to be with us. I have read that your mission X2, this is the name, X2, have impacted on the Saudi Arabia society, especially on young generations. What I wanted to ask you, if there are some plans from the Saudi Space Agency to build the new space ecosystem, and also if you can tell us something about the plans for international relations.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me here. It's a great pleasure to be with my distinguished guest and also the esteemed co-panelist. So let me give you a bit of a background of how in general we plan in the kingdom to build the space ecosystem. So mainly we are focusing on 7 main pillars, and we believe that by implementing and activating those pillars, we could build that balanced ecospace system, whether here in the kingdom or as a part of the international space system. The first one is the commercial space. As we know that based on recent studies that space will be a $1 trillion economy in 2024. In fact, even more recent studies suggest that we will reach that milestone in 2023. So it's a very growing ecosystem. There is a momentum, and we want to be a part of it. The second pillar is sovereignty. As mentioned in the beginning statements, that navigation, Earth observation, and also communication are becoming well integrated with our lives. We cannot live without it, and therefore, we would like to build those capabilities in terms of technology and capacity. The third, as the doctor mentioned, which is my personal preference, which is exploration and science. Every industry, space or others, it starts with R&D. It is the beginning of the ecosystem, and it's also the reason behind the upgrade, modification, and also the next generation of systems. The fourth is a new space. For a very long time, we used to say that the most challenging part about space is getting to space. Now, with the new technologies, the reusable rockets, space is becoming more and more accessible, and one of the results or outputs of this is what we're speaking here about today, which is the commercial space flights. To implement those four, we need the three enablers. One is, of course, fund and infrastructure, the governance of the space system. The doctor just mentioned that 2 years ago, we used to be the Saudi Space Commission. Now we have a Space Supreme Court doing the strategic directions. We have also our sister entity, which is CST, the Communication, Space, and Technology, that is leading more of the regulatory framework, licensing, and policy of a space, where we focus more at the Saudi Space Agency on the strategic objectives. Now, with all of this is to give opportunities for international, domestic, and also within the global community to have, I would say, opportunities when it comes to the space sector. Now, coming back to the other question that you mentioned about the human spaceflight opportunity and what was the impact that we had, it was a great milestone. 40 years ago, Saudi has a precedence of the first Saudi astronaut to space, and 40 years later, we had the first Saudi female astronaut. That mission, it wasn't only the impact of it, only the 10 days of the duration. It was what is the aftermath of it. We've done 14 Saudi experiments. We've done 8 international collaboration on the experiments. Also, we have done 8 published papers afterwards, and we had a record time in terms of the number of students, K1 to 12, interacting with astronauts on a space. 12,000 students, 47 cities, communicating directly on the International Space Station. Therefore, if you walk on the streets today, you will not be surprised that everybody is aware of what is microgravity, what astronauts do, what is the International Space Station. And this is an outreach that you might achieve. It's a lot to achieve with only 10 days. It's been very inspirational. Now, coming back to the last part of your question is, how does international collaboration benefit this? As we always say, space has no boundaries. Space has no borders, and therefore, within our plan to build the ecosystem, it's mainly based on partnerships with public and private entities like space agencies or other companies, of which that there is a lot to do. One of the things is, what is it that we could do with the Italian ecosystem, whether it is the agency or the companies? Exploration and science is one of them when it comes to the vehicle design. Microgravity, it's very trending, and it's something that we're continuing and publishing in a full year. Payload, when it comes to different kind of satellites like Earth observation or navigation or communication. I think there is a fruitful venue for the bilateral joint cooperation.
Oh, thank you so much. Also for sharing with us some data and some statistics, very interesting. Dr. Al-Chetri, I have a quick question, but there is a word behind. What Saudi Arabia is doing to open Earth observation market?
Thank you so much for the invitation. Actually, I'm going to start with my colleague Ahmed. He just mentioned, he said that the hard part of the space is how to get there, how to reach the space. This reminds me with the question that I have repeated in my mind beginning from my start working in the space sector. The first day I have started working in the space, the first question is, how far is the space from here, from the ground? So the answer was shocking for me. So I am asking my expert here, so how far is the space from here?
I would say that till a few weeks ago or months, I was pretty sure that I knew the answer, but now we are discussing at national level our very first space law. And there's a big, huge debate in terms of where space is studying. Actually, internationally wise, there's no unique definition. It depends on how you want to define the threshold. Normally, the common line is 62 miles altitude or 100 kilometers. Though, let me say that in the two missions I flew, both the suborbital one and the Axiom one, I never see any boundary tracing, I mean, passing the 100 kilometers altitude.
So I agree with you. So the space starts at 100 kilometers. So it's closer than Mecca city from here. So it's really close. The hard part of it is how to get there. It's easy for us to get to the towns near to Jeddah because we can walk, we can drive a car, we can ride any whatever. However, to get the space is really hard. That is right, starting from 1950 something. Nowadays, these challenges, they are not valid anymore. With the advancements of the technologies or the rapid advancement of the technologies that we can see today, we believe that the space is going to be really closer than our near cities. So starting with this one, I'm working for CST, which is the Communication Technology and Space Commission. It's regulating the markets, the telecommunication technology, and the space as well. Why is that? Why the space market is regulated in Saudi Arabia? We believe that the market of the space is going to be huge. You have just mentioned that we are going to have, or we have now, something called the space economy, which is right. The resources that we do have here on the Earth, they have been depleted for more than 2 million years. The resources up there in the space, they are fresh, and they are really huge. To utilize, now we are in the process of exploration. Now we need to go beyond exploration to utilize these resources. So in order to advance the technologies and the services on this market, it has to be motivated, it has to be supported, it has to be regulated at the beginning from the innovation perspective. Then it has to be regulated as other business. So Saudi government, they have decided it's time to jump in to make sure that this market is going to be shining inside Saudi Arabia with collaboration with our colleagues worldwide to make sure that we get to the space peacefully. All of the resources of the space, they are going to be distributed, equally and used peacefully among all the countries. So that was the initial approach of CST, is to make sure that all of the space services to be developed inside Saudi Arabia and utilized inside Saudi Arabia. So we have started with the EO, with the Earth Observation Services. And we have issued multiple regulatory documents to make sure that all the legal causes and grounds for the providers, they are there to make sure that it helps those operators, third-party developers, their life easier, their journey to develop the services faster and quicker. So we have announced the first permit to have an AO marketplace that was a couple of months ago with NSG, the new space group, which is the new big player in Saudi market for the EO market. And we are going to announce a couple of EO providers in the coming month. So the beginning is going to be with the EO, with the Earth observation. However, during this year, 2025 and 2026, we are going to extend our services, our regulation to other products. And the approach is to help the operators, to help the providers to offer their services inside Saudi Arabia and outside Saudi Arabia as well.
Fantastic. Listening you, I have signed 5 new words. The first one is cooperation, the second one is collaboration, third one is opportunity, fourth one is sustainability, and then research. I really thank you so much, and I thank you and ask you to leave the stage, but not Colonel Villadei, that please stay here with me. At the same time, I ask the speakers of the second sub-panel to take a seat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
For the second sub-panel of this amazing day, we have with us engineer Bruno Versini, Italian Space Agency and Telespazio Company, Dr. Tommaso Cesana, General Manager, Elettronica Industries, Saudi Arabia, Dr. Luca Garuti, CIPAL USA, Managing Director, and obviously our Colonel Villadei. Thank you so much. So, theme of this second sub-panel is the same: commercial space flight opportunities and industry cooperation. Also, with you, I will start with a round of questions, and would like to start from Mr. Versini. So, I had a big question for you, but I will try to synthesize it. What key business trends and challenges will shape the aerospace sector in the next decade? And how can public-private collaboration and sustainable technologies drive success? You know, in the last year, Italy marked 60 years in space. And what role you think can it play in the future international programs?
It's going to be an articulated response.
Yeah, sure. It's mine.
To start with, good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me. Good afternoon to all the distinguished guests and to the representative from institutions. Let me create also some links with what the previous panelists said. In terms of space exploration, there is so much that Italy has done. There is a huge heritage on the ISS, but there is also a new perspective on Axiom or the Artemis lunar outpost, or even to Mars with robotic arm or drilling arms. So we are really, I would like to say Leonardo, but all the industrial ecosystem that Leonardo feeds in Italy. So we are in a very good shape and good position. One more consideration about technology. We heard about Earth observation services. I believe there is no doubt that Earth observation services entered a number of workflows within institutions and also commercial ventures, but we need to be more and more effective. What I mean is that we need high resolution, so we need big satellites with a lot of power for radar or big telescope for optical to reach, let me say, the 20-25 centimeters of resolution. But it is not enough. We need the time resolution because we need to track. In particular, if you want to perform activity-based intelligence, maritime surveillance, emergency response services, we need the time domain. We need the time component. This means small satellites, more agile, many satellites in orbit. And by the way, let me also say that there is a lot that the Italian government made and the Italian Space Agency with the IRIDE project, which is a systems of constellations. Is this enough? Response is no. because then we need to, if we perform a lot of acquisition, we need to bring the data on ground. And this is an arena where ground clouds or even space clouds will help. Let me pick up an example, and also in favor of the strong presence from the Navy. If we are dealing with maritime domain awareness, satellite-based surveillance, we need to be extremely fast. We need to perform a detection with a radar satellite. We need to correlate with the AES data to understand if it is a vessel that wants to be recognized or if it is dark. We need to task immediately an optical satellite to try to perform the identification and not only the detection. But if in the future we will have flying a number of computing and telecommunication nodes, those satellites will talk to this network of satellites to bring back to Earth at sea or on ground immediately not only the image, but the information which is going to feed a certain chain of command. Let me just list some other topics like the quantum communication for security. But all these services are important as far as we can maintain them. And to maintain them, unfortunately, we have an issue, which is the space domain, mainly related to the number of debris that we have. So let me enter into the point of sustainability. I don't see any difference between an on-ground sustainability and space sustainability are the two pages of the same book. There is so much that we can do with Earth observation for sustainability. Think about agriculture, think about optimal management of water, pesticides, fertilizer. Think about responses to emergency events which are increasing more and more with the climate change. But in order to maintain these services, we need to deal with the debris that we have in orbit. So this means that we need to have also rules and regulation to try to reduce this number of debris, but maybe also to avoid some tests like destroying a satellite in orbit because it will generate a huge number of debris. Let me enter into the arena of cooperation. I believe that since the very beginning, the space field is all about cooperation. It's cooperation at domestic level because there is no single company which is capable to manufacture everything. There is a cooperation at European level. There are many European projects which are joining where the major, but also the SME company in Europe are joining in. And there are, of course, many international cooperation that we have addressed so far. So I believe it is really in the DNA of the Leonardo Group to put in place this kind of cooperation at domestic, European, and international level. I have to say personally, I had some very interesting opportunities to cooperate with Saudi institutions and Saudi companies, and I really very much appreciate the cooperation with them, the level of professionalism and knowledge. And we hope, as IGEOS, as Telespazio, as Leonardo Group, to increase more and more this cooperation based on friendship, based on triggering the interest of young STEM graduates, and also to boost the cooperation between, in a multicultural, multi-language international environment.
Thank you so much.
I hope that I cover your 360 degrees question.
You have the talent to synthesize in a few minutes so many arguments. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Cesana, how can international, I would like to speak about opportunities and challenge. So, how can international partnership and technology sharing enhance space access and security, and what role should the private sector play first? Second, I suppose that ELT Group envision the future of commercial space activities. Can you tell me something about this?
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's a very quite complex question, but I will try to be as much short as I can. I would start from partnership. Since we are in Jeddah, since I am managing a Saudi company, partnerships are fundamental in the kingdom. We are witnessing an incredible change due to Vision 2030 strategic objectives. Elettronica, ELT Group, as other companies, is totally involved in trying to build this long-lasting partnership, not in a transactional way, but in a real partnership way. And therefore, this is something really, really important for building long-lasting relationship. We are currently involved in localizing cutting-edge technologies. Cutting-edge technologies reaching also space, the space domain. So it's a natural stretch for our company, and it requires a strong partnership with the local entities. And as we do it in Italy, we are trying to do also these partnerships here. We mentioned before many data about space economy, about opportunities, about challenges. Space economy is really big. At the moment, the big percentage of the space economy is made up by communication. So communication is the most sensible and critical, let's say, stream of revenues for the commercial space economies. ELT Group is strongly committed in protecting not only the ground-based stations from cyber threats or in a cyber resilience point of view, but also the communication link between the spacecraft and the ground station that is fundamental for the paramount of the safety, and also the spacecraft itself. So this is something that is inside our value proposition and something that we are really trying to bring here in a partnership way. A lot of challenges. We mentioned the breeze. We mentioned the congestion of the space, but a lot of opportunities. Elettronica, mainly as a defense group, is now focusing and stretching also in the civilian and in the commercial domain. We have now a payload on a satellite through a cooperation with another company that is orbiting in the low orbit for intercepting SIGINT signals. And this cooperation that started in the military domain is now stretching into many civilian opportunities, especially here in the Middle East as a potential hub for cooperation in the space domain. So it is something that we have built in Italy. We have built in a very strong way in our home country, and we want to bring here and build together with our Saudi partners.
Thank you so much. Dr. Garuti, welcome. What are you developing with Space Glass, and how space is becoming part of your strategy?
Thank you so much. It's a very privilege to represent CIPAL on this stage. Thank you. CIPAL, born in 1978, and as an aerospace company, aerospace engineering company. We are always been very, very adapting on the new market. And in this view, following this view, we started a cooperation with the University of Parma. And through this cooperation, the Space Glass project is born. So just for this kind of new technology, for us, this new technology will be a revolutionary technology. So we are moving from an actual technology, silica and aluminum, from a totally new technology, a new glass technology, that is as the priorities for resilience and robustness. So we have this new technology that has a big, extreme, sorry about that, that is a big protection against the solar radiation,
as a big protection on the thermal and the thermal variation, and as a totally new layout. So that kind of technology will move from less glass and more structure, from bigger glass surface and less structure in aluminum. So for SIPAL, this is probably one of the most important technology in the new space technology, and will be probably a game changer for the next space economy. You know, after the reopening of the space mission under with the private sector, SIPAL highlighted that probably the space economy will bring a lot of new opportunity. And our capability on finding the new kind of market and the changing of the market that will bring us the collaboration with University of Parma about space glass.
In other event, we have already spoken about radiation, and this is a common theme between blue and space economy. So thank you so much. Colonel Villadei, I would like to close with you this panel asking you what strategies can space and non-space companies implement to attract investment and collaboration from Italian or international business partners?
That's a very complicated question.
Yeah.
Do we have another hour for talking? No, I would say just since I'm the last one, let me, put in the framework what we are talking about. So Axiom 3 mission has been a kind of unique mission in the context of the human spaceflight missions because it created a different model. And this model was a mission conceived by the Italian Air Force within the Ministry of Defense, but in the end it turns to be a national mission with the support of the Prime Minister Cabinet and the full support of the Minister of the Made in Italy, since space is a very peculiar and a unique environment where we can really foster and promote our excellencies. And we've been talking about some of them, the suits that we brought on the space station, the space glass they are developing, and the other aerospace capabilities that we have. And we brought payloads, scientific payloads, moving and offering new opportunities to the scientific community thanks to the partnership with the Italian Space Agency. So the point is that it's not only a matter of what the medium, small, or big industries can do by themselves, but it's just how we can put all these entities within the national strategy. And this is exactly what we are dealing with and what we are talking about. So Italy has been, as was mentioned, for the last 60 years, one of the main players in space. Now we are changing, space is changing its skin. So there's a set of full new challenges, of course, and opportunities. And we are in the very good position, has been already said. The United States, where I've been living in the US in the last 3 years, they really are adapting and outlining a new space strategy. And we can be really key partners of the US and the other international context. So again, when we talk about space, there's a lot related with the licensing standards, all the rules. So first of all, we need to have a cooperation, and this cooperation is supposed to be cross domains. That's not a case that during the mission, so we put not only the traditional scientific payloads, but also other ideas from different sectors, like fabrics or food or others. So we really can put these different fields talking together, and from them we can get out some new ideas, new disruptive technology that can really pave the pace for the new exploration in the next years. We need to have new rules. We need to set and define what are the rules for exploiting these. There are a lot of resources our colleagues were mentioning, but definitely these resources are not unlimited. So we need to be careful how we want to use the space resources, and we need the rules. And we need the rules not set by just a country, but we need the rules set and shared among the international context. And again, industries are subjected then to these rules, so we need to be aware about that. And I guess, again, we can, this keyword like public-private partnership is something that can really define the new approach in this new space economy. So we can really push as institutions, we can support the industry. Industries can bring new technologies, invest their own resources and ideas, and all this is supposed to be done within a national strategy. This is something that the government is dealing with. So I guess, and I want to conclude really just thanking not only the Italian Air Force and the Ministry of Defense, because we had and I had the opportunity to fly to space thanks to the Mission Action 3, but it was really an initiative led by the Italian government and all our institutions. So it's a kind of teamwork that can really make us successful in the new challenges in the commercial space flight.
And Ministry of Made in Italy also.
Of course, when I was mentioning the institutions to saying the government, the Ministry of the Made in Italy, all of them are, fundamental pillars for making this coming true.
Thank you so much, Colonel. Before the end of this panel, I would like to invite again Barbara Negri on the floor. Please take my seat. And I wanted to ask you a last question, because hearing our colleagues, I wrote a new question that is about how do initiatives like a Global Space Leaders Summit at the 75th International Aeronautical Congress in Milan can contribute to consolidating knowledge and collaboration between companies.
During the International Astronautical Congress held in Milano in the middle of October, has been organized the first summit with the major space agency all over the world. There were about 60 countries. And they discussed the future of the activities in space, underlined that cooperation in space is the best way to reach important results and to win challenges. And they analyzed the major activity for the future. The first one is sustainability. On our planets, using knowledge collected in space with research, science, and technology as a benefit of our planets to maintain in good condition our planet that is at the moment the only one habitable in our solar system. The second item discussed and agreed by all the countries is the return of the human being on the moon. This is another important challenge because permits to the human being to live in a permanent base on the moon means to solve important aspects to protect them because there is a very hostile environment, extreme condition from many points of view, and also these studies will be important, will grow up our knowledge to protect also human being on Earth.
Thank you so much. I thank our speakers and ask them to leave the stage. Thank you for your contribution and for helping us to better understand the future of industrial cooperation between our two countries. Thank you so much.